Hello, my friends. Yes, we know this from someplace, and whoever doesn't should maybe ask the person who sent him the Zoom meeting link to send him also the clips every single week. We want to start, and we want to know what's going on here with this whole Corona business. What is this trying to tell us? What is this trying to teach us? What do we want to gain from this? Do we want to gain from it, or we want to get rid of it already? People want to get back into the regular normal schedule. And the question is that really what we want? People had enough of it. We want to get back to normal schedule. But we need to realize something. The world is turning over. Something is happening. Something very interesting, very scary maybe, very happy. It depends how we look at it. But something is happening. And we really want to understand what is happening and why is all this happening. When I came to the barber, the first person I met really wearing a mask here in Israel, I was like, what? This is real? This is not real. I thought this could only happen in China. You know why? Because it's not real. That's why it could only happen in China. But I was sure these things can't happen here. Only maybe in China. In Israel, people are going to go around with masks every place they go. That can't happen. The Israelis are not into listening to what they're told to do. If you write on the wall a sign that someone just painted it, not to touch because the paint is still wet, you'll come after a half hour, you see the whole wall is full of fingerprints. Everyone's trying to check. Is it really true? Is it really still wet? Because Israelis don't listen to what they're told to do. How could it be Israelis are all going around with masks? I went on a walk a few days ago with my wife. I looked at her, she looked at me. We both started laughing. Everyone's wearing masks. It doesn't happen here in Israel. So what's really happening? How could it really happen? Why is it happening? What is it really telling us? They say here in Israel there was a few days that you could only go out 100 meters, but if you're doing sports, you could go 500 meters. So they said if a cop catches you, you start running. But what's going on? Do we really want to go back to schedule? If we want, after what we're going through, these hard days, this difficult time, all we want is to go back to schedule, to regular schedule, because we had enough of staying home, not going out to work, the kids not going to school. It's hard for us to live this way, and we want to get back to schedule. It means that this is not giving us anything. We're just going through something that's bothering us, and we want to get to the regular schedule. If we believe that the reason this is happening is because a few Chinese ate some snakes, we're right. Because there's no reason for it, and we want to get rid of it. But if we believe, and if we don't, maybe we should try to come to a weekend of Arachim, a seminar, because that's really where we speak about all the emunah questions, and to see who's spinning this world that started spinning so quick. If we believe that this did not happen by itself, the way it happened might be Chinese eating snakes, but the reason it happened is not the Chinese eating snakes. There is a reason for all this happening. If yeah, then we need to learn what is the reason. Because if not, why are we going through this whole thing? It's like someone going to medical school and learning for 3.5 years and leaving without a diploma. That's stupid. Why to pay so much money, to waste so much time, and not leave with anything in the hand, empty-handed? If we went through this hard, difficult time with all what it means nice people, great people that aren't with us anymore, businesses that shut down, people who lost their job, everything is so hard for nothing. It's very hard to believe. I think this should be an opportunity for me before I start to apologize for my English, because I'm Israeli, as you hear. But I think for Israeli this is pretty good, and I'll try my best. When we want to look at the situation, we could see it in two ways. One way to see it is that the real reason this is happening is because it's trying to teach us a lesson. The other way to look at it is that it happened because it happened. If it just happened, we want to get rid of it already. The quicker, the better. But if this is coming to teach us a lesson, then we need to learn that lesson. We do not want to go through it for no reason. The whole world is spinning. It started slower and it got quicker and quicker and quicker. And it's like, we can't anymore. We want to go back to schedule, but let's not go back to schedule before we learned the lesson this needs to teach us. So before we get to what the lesson is, I would like to see someplace else where we saw something like this. Someone going through a difficulty, a hard time, and this is coming to try to teach him a lesson. Where did we see that the first time? By Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, he was not born to a house of someone who believes in Hashem, who believes in God. His father used to work to wood and stones and rocks, and that was his God. And that's what he taught him. But Avraham Avinu was walking around the world, looked at this beautiful big bull that we live in, working day, night, sun, moon, stars. This cannot happen by itself. Someone must have made it happen. Someone must be spinning this ball that's turning around. Who is it? What is it? So by the beginning he thought maybe it's the sun. Look how big, how much heat, how much light. But then when the day finished, the sun disappeared. It cannot be the sun. Maybe it's the moon that makes the light at night. But when the day started, he knew it's not the moon either. So he walks around looking and checking to know who is spinning this world that we live on. That was clear by him. It did not happen by itself, because eyes and a heart in a human being, and flies and butterflies and birds and fish, doesn't happen by itself. Someone or something or whatever we'll call it must have made it happen. So he goes around and checks. We never thought of it because we're so used to it. But let's think we all go into a forest. We're walking in a forest, dark, quiet. All we hear is a few birds. We walking deeper and deeper, and all of a sudden we see a lit up house. We walk in, we see a fire lit, on the fire a pot with some meatballs jumping inside. The liquid is bubbling, and the fire underneath is making the meatballs get ready. What would we say? How would we react? The first thing we would say is, 1 second, who's doing this? Who built this house? Who lives here? Who made the meatballs? How did this happen? I once gave a lecture and I told someone, think that you come home and you see a pot of meatballs on the fire. What do you think? It came in by itself? Your husband did it. She said, I'm ready to swear, Rabbi, it's a bigger nes if my husband does it than if it happens by itself. Anyway, we would ask ourselves, how did this happen? Avraham Avinu walks around in the world and asks himself, how did all this happen? And he does not have an answer. He just knows what not. Till God comes over to him and tells him, listen, it's me. I'm the one who's running this world. I'm the one spinning this ball. And then the nisyonot start. Nisayon in Hebrew has two ways of understanding it. It could also be a test, checking something, but also could be picking something up, picking someone up. A nisayon is a difficulty, a hard thing or hard time someone goes through. It meant to check where he's holding, what he's holding by, but it's also meant to teach him something, to get him higher, to pick him up. Avraham Avinu's most famous nisayon was to take his only lovely son and kill him, slaughter his son, Akedat Yitzchak. And Avraham Avinu goes out on the way to do that. And I want to ask you a question. Why is that so special? If HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if God comes over to Avraham Avinu, VIP, and tells him, go kill your son, is that so amazing that he went and listened? You know how many people over the history jumped in fire, into the ocean, into water, were ready to get killed because they wanted to stay Jewish without getting a VIP straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from God to them, telling them that's what they need to do, just because they knew that's the right thing to do. Why is it so special, Avraham Avinu going and being ready to kill his son? I want to take an example from a piloting course in order to understand the difficulty and what the lesson is supposed to teach us. When a pilot learns how to become a pilot, one of the things he needs to go through is to get ready for vertigo. Vertigo happens when the liquids in the ear get mixed up and he loses his balance. It could happen not only to a pilot, it happens to people also in the regular life. But what they do is they hold on to a pole, to a table, something steady, and that helps them settle down, and then they're back to regular. The problem is a pilot could be flying in the air and he has his cockpit covered, so no one should be able to see him on the makam, the radar of the enemies. They shouldn't be able to see his airplane. And he's flying and he needs to take a right, to take a left, to turn over, and sometimes turn over more than once. And he doesn't know sometimes while he's flying, if he gets vertigo, he could be all mixed up. He doesn't know if he's flying straight or upside down. He's anyway tied very hard to his chair, and he's flying. He's used to flying always, and now he has vertigo. It's not that he can't stand steady. He does not know what's up and what's down. If it happens on the hard way, it's not only he doesn't know what's up and what's down, a lot of times he could be sure this is down and this is up. And he's flying, and then he gets a call and they tell him, listen, you're in a place that there is a lot of makam, they can see you. Make sure to go a little bit lower, closer to the ground. And what he does is goes higher, and then they could see him and it could be dangerous. But that's the small problem. The much bigger problem is if he gets a call telling him you don't see, there is a mountain you're almost crashing into. Make sure to go higher very quick. And instead of going higher, he crashes into the mountain. Not one and not two pilots got killed that way. And in order to take care of that problem, because you can't have an army today without having a pilot, without having airplanes. But you can, soon you're not going to need a pilot anymore in the airplane. But you cannot have pilots crashing into mountains. They made a device, a machine that tells the pilot what's up and what's down. When he's flying, he looks at the machine, and when they tell him go up, he checks what the machine says is up, and that's what he does. What the machine says is down, that's what he does. He listens to what the machine tells him is up or down. But that doesn't really help so much, because a person cannot rely on a device against what he knows 100%. Do you use Waze? I do. Most people who use Waze would rely on the Waze even though he's telling them how to go to their house, not the regular way. He's taking them out of the way. But they say maybe there is a car accident or traffic. He for sure has a reason why he's telling me to go around. Most people. But what happens if you're driving on the highway and the Waze tells you while you're on the highway, take a right, and you look to the right side and you see there is a wall for miles and miles, and after a few minutes says take a right. Would you take a right? No one would take a right. Why? I did it once, by the way. Here in Israel, it's very hard to go through the test when you learn how to drive. So I was once in a test, and the tester told me take a left where there was a traffic light and there's no left. And I was so nervous. He said left, I just took a left, and he stopped me and he said I failed. But a normal person, regular time, not in the test when you're nervous and you don't see what's going on, does not take a right if there is a wall. Am I right that you don't take a right? Yes. Why? Because a person cannot rely on a device against something he knows 100%. If he knows something, he's not going to do what the device tells him. When he doesn't know 100% what's going on the road, and the device tells him go around, so he'll go around hoping it's really going to save him some time. But when he knows there is a wall, he won't take a right. Now let's go back to the pilot. The pilot, when he gets vertigo, sometimes he knows that this is the top and this is the bottom. He knows if he goes there, he's going to crash If he goes there, he's going to fly up. And the device tells him he's wrong. A human being cannot rely on a device if he knows the device is wrong. They say maybe that's how Ilan Ramon's son, who was a pilot in the Israeli army, got killed. He was flying an airplane, he had the device inside and he crashed into the ground. So what could we do? But before we see what we do to teach the pilots how to save themselves, we'll get back to Avraham Avinu. God comes and tells him, take your only son and go kill him. The question was, what's so special about listening if we know that over the history so many Jews did it without a VIP message telling them to go do that? The answer is that the VIP message is what made it much harder, not easier. The same God who told him, go take your son and kill him, promised him earlier, you're going to have children from Yitzchak, grandchildren. Yitzchak is going to have children, and they're going to be called on your name. Ki bi Yitzchak yikareh lecha zara, which means you're going to have children from Yitzchak that are going to be called on your name. And Yitzchak did not get married yet. And if he goes to kill him, Yitzchak is not going to have children. So now, what's going on? It's the same Hashem, the same God that promised him he's going to have children from Yitzchak, telling him now to go kill Yitzchak. If he kills Yitzchak, he's not going to have any children from Yitzchak. So if God was telling him the truth when he told him to go kill Yitzchak, when he told him he's going to have children from Yitzchak, that's a good enough reason not to kill him, because he needs to have children. And if it wasn't true what he promised him, a God that lies to you, you don't kill your son listening to him. If I would have a friend coming over to me and he tells me to invest $10,000 in a business, in 3 months I'm going to start getting a benefit of $200 a month. 3 months pass and I get a phone call from that friend. Unbelievable. I don't even need to remind him. He's calling me. Great. I answer the phone and he says, listen, Yaakov, I want you to please close your bank account. Which one? The one that I'm supposed to put the money into. What? Yeah. What would I do to him? I don't know. One thing I could promise you, I wouldn't put a dime into that investment ever again. Right? Yeah. God comes and tells Avraham Avinu, listen, you're going to have children from Yitzchak. Before he has children, he tells him, go close the bank account. Go kill Yitzchak. I wouldn't put a dime in such an investment. I should go kill my son for such an investment? The same God who promised me that I'm going to have children from him is telling me to kill him before he had children. How could that be? So the question is, how really did he do it? How could Avraham Avinu really go and do it if it's impossible? He did not ask any questions. One question he did ask. He asked which son. And someone said, even that he shouldn't have asked. He should just take Ishmael and kill him. So many bad things we had over the history we wouldn't have. But how does he do it? We'll go back to the pilot. We have a big problem. We have a device teaching the pilot what's up and what's down. But the problem is that the pilot, a human being, cannot rely on the device if he knows the device is wrong. He knows that this is down and this is up. How could he rely on the device telling him the opposite? What they do is, there is 2 levels, 2 stages that the pilot goes through. The first level is, they teach him, listen, you need to know that pilots, also regular people, but a lot of times pilots have mistakes. They get vertigo and they do not know what's the right side. The second thing you need to know is that the device never had a mistake yet. They can't say 100% because there's no 100%, but there's 0 mistakes. Every single pilot who ever relied on this device did not crash, did not go up when he was told to go down. A lot of pilots who were told to go up went down and crashed when they did not rely on the device and relied on themselves. Because you should know, a pilot could have a mistake, but the device does not have a mistake. After you know that, there is a second stage, second level. What happens in that level is they teach the pilot to become like a robot, which means whatever the device tells you, you do without thinking. You're not part of the situation at all. You're told to go up, you check what the device says and you do. Your mind is out. You're told the device, you do. You're told to go up, the device says this is up, you fly up. You're told to go down, the device says this is down, you go down. Even if the device tells you to crash into the down, go down. You crash. No matter what, if the device tells you to do something, you do it. And they become like robots. They do it automatically. Whatever the device says without thinking. Because they know that they could have a mistake. And the device does not have a mistake. By Avraham Avinu, he was not born to a father who taught him emunah. He built it by himself. But it was so clear by him, the emunah he had in God, that he knew that he could have a mistake. God cannot have a mistake. That was clear by him. And because it was so clear by him, even if things did not make sense, he was told to do things he does without thinking. He's not part of the situation. Whatever he's told to do, he does. Because he knows he could have a mistake and God cannot have a mistake. That was the nisayon. That was what he was checked. To see if even when he cannot understand what's going on, and it's so impossible, it does not make sense, he still listens to what God tells him to do, and he's ready to go kill his son. Now we understand what the nisayon was, what was checked. But I wanted to see another thing. Before we continue to the other thing, in our life, there is also a way to check. We want to know if this ball is spinning by itself or someone is spinning it. If things happen by itself or someone is making them happen. There is a way to check. If you see a car going down the hill, going down the road, you don't know if someone's inside, holding on, or it's on neutral, just going down, no one's holding. There is a way to check. If at the end, instead of crashing into the wall, it takes a beautiful right and parks in the parking lot between two white lines, then you know someone was holding the whole way, someone was holding on and making sure it drives the right way. In our life, sometimes we could look at our life and we don't know if someone's holding on or it's just going by itself. If someone's spinning this ball or it's just spinning by itself. But there is a way to check. If we see all of a sudden things that suddenly work out, then we could know that there is someone holding on the whole way. I want to share with you a personal story that I had, that I saw how every single thing is perfectly on time. Like at the end of the road, the perfect parking lot in between the two white lines. When my wife was pregnant with my youngest son, my youngest son, one day she calls me up. I'm in the middle of learning with my chavruta, sitting and learning with my friend, and I get a phone call. I answer the phone. Hello, how are you, honey? Great. How are you? Great. Everything is good. And I hear nothing is good. What's going on? What happened? No, everything's okay. Please tell me. I push another little bit. And then she tells me, I was just by the doctor, and the doctor said, he saw in the blood test, I have in my blood a virus called CMV. If it goes over to the baby could be born not hearing and not talking. Deaf and can't talk. I mean blind, I'm sorry. Doesn't hear and doesn't see. Blind and deaf. Okay? What do we do? What are we supposed to do? How do you do? How do you react? So she said, listen, the doctor said there's a big professor you could go to. He could check to see if it's really went over to the baby or not. But you need to get an appointment a few months early. And if we wait, it might be after we have the baby ready. Let's call him. I said, one second, let's do things slowly. When we do things too quick, without thinking, we could only lose. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Okay, I told my friend I live with, I'm sorry, I need to leave, we'll speak tomorrow, I need to go. I went out, and I wanted to go out, calm down, go home and speak to my wife. When I left, where I learned in Yeshivat Mir in Jerusalem, there was like 7,000-8,000 people learning there. Large, huge place, 15 buildings, unbelievable. They say someone asked someone once, how do I get to the Mir? So he said, you don't need to get there. Stay here, it's going to get to you. Every day another building becomes the Mir. So when I came to leave, I saw someone that I don't see a lot at all. Once in a few months, I meet him. His name is Reb Tzvi Cheshin, a big rabbi. I ran over to him. I said, Rebbe, my wife just called, CMV in the blood, don't ask, what do we do? What am I supposed to do? Calm down, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. I said, what do you mean it's not? So he said, my daughter had the same thing. And I gave her a few things, a few Pirkei Tehillim, things to pray, and everything was okay. Okay, so he said he'll call me, he took my number, he's going to check what exactly he told his daughter, and he's going to call me and let me know. I wasn't calm more than I was before I spoke to him, but okay, what can I do? He says to be calm, it's not working. I went to the bus stop, taking a bus. Before I get to the bus stop, I saw an old rabbi, a holy Jew that lives in Jerusalem, right near the yeshiva. His name is Rabbi Tzemvirt. I ran over to him. You know, when someone has a problem or difficulty, he runs to people to help him. So I ran over to him. I said, listen, I just heard from my wife and this and that. So he blessed me. Everything should be okay. Thank you very much. Now that I got the blessings, which is very good, I need to start taking care of the doctor. I came home and I told my wife, listen, there are some times in life that we, young people, think we're smarter than our parents. But there are sometimes it's right to know that our parents are smarter than us. Now is one of those moments. Please call your mother and ask her what to do. So my wife calls up my mother-in-law, and obviously she gets very nervous, and she says, listen, I do not know what to do. I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. But my sister, which is my wife's aunt, she had the same thing. And she's the type that if she goes through something, she reads every single thing about it. She can write an encyclopedia. Go to her and speak to her or call her, whatever, and she'll explain you exactly what's going on. So my wife calls her up, and when she hears, she says, yeah, that's so terrible. My doctor was a little bit worse than your doctor. When he told it to me, the way he told it to me, instead of giving me a paper that says what's going on, he gave me a paper sending me to go do a miscarriage. I don't know how you say it because we're not allowed to do it. Anyway, he sent me to go do it. And I got so nervous. And she says, then the wife of Reb Chaim Kanievsky, I'm sure you heard of him, was still alive. And she went in to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and she went into his wife, went to his house, went into his wife, and started crying. Terrible. Crying, crying, crying. And Reb Chaim's wife was trying to calm her down. Calm down, everything will be okay. What happened? Tell me what happened. And she's crying, she can't calm down. After finally she calmed down, she says, what happened? So she told her the story that she has CMV, and the baby could be deaf and blind, and the doctor sent her to do what he sent her to do, and what is she supposed to do? So she said, wait, I'll go ask my husband. She comes back and she said, Reb Chaim said not to check anything and everything's going to be okay. What happened? Obviously, if that's what he said, that's what happened. They did not check anything and everything was okay. When I heard that that's what my wife's aunt told her, I told my wife that since I have the zechut and every short time I go in to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, I'm going to go right now. I'm going to go ask him what we should do. So I drove to Bnei Brak. I get into Reb Chaim Kanievsky. I wrote him a letter. And I wrote him, my wife has CMV in the blood. It could have a baby that's not well. And they want to check things. What should we do? Reb Chaim picks up his holy eyes with a big smile and tells me, B'dike osim be'erev Pesach. Erev Pesach we do b'dikas chametz, which means don't check anything and everything is going to be okay. But he didn't say everything's going to be okay, that I'm saying. He said not to check. So I said, well, what's with the child? So he said, he wishes me all the good, all the best. But that wasn't enough for me. So I held on to his table and I said, Rebbe, my wife is very nervous and I want you to promise me everything's going to be okay with the child. He thought for a few seconds. It was silent. Then he picks up his head and said, everything is going to be okay. I called up my wife and I told her, listen, Bibi Netanyahu always says, there's nothing because there was nothing, which means it never started. I said, the way I look at it, there's nothing because there was never nothing. Do you agree? She said, yes. We didn't check anything. When we came to the hospital, I told the nurse, whatever you call the doctor, listen, I know a hospital goes by medical laws, not by laws of emunat chachamim, of how much you believe in rabbis. The way I look at it, there's nothing. But I'm just letting you know my wife has CMV in her blood. Okay, the baby was born, he sees, he talks, he hears, we hear him, everything is okay. But I want to share with you what happened afterwards, to see how everything's exactly on the same second, and then you could see that someone's spinning the ball, someone's holding on, it's not flying by itself. What happened was, I decided before the baby was born, that when the baby will be born, I'm going to go to Reb Chaim Kanievsky with my son and show him that everything's okay. All day he needs to hear people that have bad things happening. Let's make him happy. Right after the baby was born, I thought to myself, 1 second, is that the right thing to do? Who said that's the right thing to do? You don't take the baby almost out of the house for any reason, no matter, besides the doctor and the Brit. Why should I take him till Bnei Brak? But I said to myself that I'm going to do it. Maybe it's like promising. I did not know how to decide what to do. While I'm debating with myself, I'm by my in-laws. My wife had a baby. My father-in-law gets a phone call from a student of his that Reb Chaim Kanievsky is coming tonight to visit his father at his home. It was Sukkot, and that's when Reb Chaim Kanievsky comes 3 times a year to Jerusalem, to Yerushalayim. That was one of the times. And he's invited. I told my father-in-law, I was not invited, but I'm coming with my son. And I went over to Reb Chaim, and I told him, look, you promised he's going to be okay when the doctors were nervous. I came just to make you happy. Unbelievable story. He got very touched. But that's only the first part. I wanted to take him to Bnei Brak. I didn't know if it's the right thing to do, and Reb Chaim came to me. But it didn't end by that. Sukkot is a time that there is vacation, where I learn, in yeshivot. What happens is, the second we start, the first Sunday I come to yeshiva, after months I did not see him. I walk into the yeshiva where I learn. The first person I meet is Reb Tzvi Cheshin. I ran over to him, I said, Rebbe, you can't believe it. You gave me the Tehillim to say everything was okay. I want to thank you. So he said, oh, very nice that you come to say good things also. People come to the rabbis only when they have bad things happening. While I'm talking to him, another Jew passes nearby, telling you I see them once every few months. Rabbi Tzemvirt. I told him, Rebbe, I'm sorry, I need to run to him too. I ran over, I told him thank you. I saw how when I needed them, Hashem sent them to me exactly in the right moment. And when I had good things to tell them, Hashem sent them again. It's not that it happened by itself. Suddenly this happened, and suddenly this happened, and suddenly this happened. Every person could check in his own life and see how many times he has things that happen to him, and exactly on the time, exactly on the spot. And then you understand that someone's holding on. That's the lesson we see from the Nisayon of Avraham Avinu. But I want to see something more than that we need to see now in the Corona days. If we go through all what we're going through and do not learn anything from it, it's like a student going to medical school for 3.5 years and leaving without a diploma. So much money, so much time, so much effort for no reason. It's stupid. If you already did it, work another little bit and get the diploma. If we believe, and we believe, that this ball is spinning not by itself, someone is spinning it, we need to understand why he's spinning it. By Avraham Avinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, God checked him by doing that nisayon of akedat Yitzchak, telling him to kill his son. But why did he need to do that? We said in every time you go through a difficulty, it's not only to check you, it's also to teach something. Hashem, God does not need a check. He knows everything. He knew before the nisayon, he knew that Abraham Avinu is willing to kill his son. Why does he need a check? Great question, a lot of answers. One of the answers is, it was not for Abraham Avinu. It was for Yitzchak. Abraham Avinu went through that difficulty, that nisayon, to teach Yitzchak how much his father loves God. What his father is ready to do because he loves God, to teach him what a relationship a human being could have with God. We need to know every difficulty we go through in our life comes to teach us something. And we're going through a very hard time, very hard days these days right now. If we're waiting just to go back to regular schedule without knowing what we learned, what it taught us, what we learned from it, without a diploma, it means all what we went through is for nothing. It's like leaving medical school without a diploma. So many people died. So many people are still sick. We'll wish them all to be healthy, to be well. So many people lose their jobs and lose their businesses. So much hard things, so much people are sad, are not having a good, happy life like they would want to have. For no reason. Just to have some alcohol gel and masks. Like my my baby boy that I just told you the story about. He's 19 months old. Every half hour he comes over to me. Give me. He wants alcohol gel. He loves the way like it disappears. That's what we're going to have left from these days. This period of time came to teach us how to use alcohol gel and go out with a mask. That's for sure not what we want to learn from this time. So what do we need to learn from these days? If we leave knowing that we need to learn something, that's good enough for me. But I'll try to share with you a feeling. Maybe what this world spinning is coming to teach us. As I said, the world always spins. And there is someone spinning it. But now it started spinning very quick. Impossible. Like things are going too quick. We don't see what's going on. Nothing is normal. Look how people are getting married. Look how people are getting buried. It's not normal. I think if we check, we'll see the world did not start spinning now. We live in 2020. Science, technology is impossible, incredible, unbelievable. Buildings are going up and down. People are so busy with one little phone, they could turn over the whole world's stocks here and turning on their air conditioner in the house. People could choose today what color eyes they want the baby to have. If it should be a boy or a girl. Some people think they could choose also after it's born. But people are checking. People are choosing whatever they want. From one sheep, you can make 3,000 sheep the same thing. So, everything is unbelievable. But people are so busy, they don't have time for their children. They don't have time for their wives, for their husbands. Who thought we're going to come to a day that we wait so much to go visit our parents, our grandparents? The world is not spinning, my friends. The world stops spinning. We were spinning and it got quicker and quicker, and 2020 was like, whoa, the real spin. And now it stopped spinning. We're back into normal life, natural. People want to go back to schedule. People want to meet a friend to give him a hug. People want to go out with their kids to the backyard to play with them outside the house. People want to go act normal. All of a sudden people want to go visit their parents. People want to touch, not only on the phone. People want to go back into the normal world. What happened is not that the world started spinning. The world stopped spinning. We're back into normal world. And if we learn that, Instead of wasting $150,000 on flowers on one night for a wedding, people are getting married with like 10, 15 people around. If we learn the way life is supposed to look like, we got our diploma. Then we could want to go back to schedule because we learned our lesson. But if we did not learn our lesson, we do not want to go back to schedule. And let me tell you, my dear friends, before we finish, the way we feel, the way it looks like, we're going back into the regular schedule. Slowly, but we're going back. Very soon, the world is going to start spinning again. Quicker and quicker and quicker. But now we could already decide, we could already choose if to be part of the world and spin with the world, or act the way we're supposed to, live the real life and look at the world spinning from outside. And I want to wish you all that we should take the right decision. Thank you. If anyone has questions or anything, they're going to open it up. And I apologize again for my English. We tried the best. Thank you very much.